Kyle Morrison stood in the center of the giant room. His hands were shaking, but he tried to hide it. Around him sat creatures from across the galaxy. Some looked like giant lizards. Others were made of living crystal that sparkled in the light. A few had too many arms and eyes that glowed in the dark. They were all looking at him. They were all laughing. The sound filled the huge chamber. Clicks, whistles, roars, and sounds that hurt his ears. The translator in his ear turned it all into one thing. Laughter. Mean, cruel laughter. Kyle had come here with hope. Earth had finally built ships that could travel between stars. They had made contact with other worlds. They thought they were ready to join the great community of spacefaring peoples. He was wrong. The Zephyrian delegate rose from its seat. It was 12 feet tall and made of blue crystal. When it moved, light danced across its surface. Its voice was like wind chimes in a storm. Humans, it said, and the words sounded dirty in its mouth. You think you belong here? Among civilized beings? Kyle straightened his shoulders. We have traveled between the stars. We have built cities on other worlds. We follow the same laws of physics as everyone else. More laughter filled the room. A creature that looked like a giant mantis clicked its mandibles. Laws of physics, child. You barely understand fire. The Korthok ambassador stood next. It was 8 feet tall with green scales and teeth like knives. Its voice was a growl that made Kyle's bones shake. Your ships, it rumbled, are held together. With hope and prayer, we have watched you. Your vessels break down every few light years. Your weapons are barely better than throwing rocks. Kyle wanted to argue, but he knew they were right. Earth ships were new and untested. They broke down often. The crew spent more time fixing things than flying. We are learning, Kyle said. Every species had to start somewhere. The crystal being laughed again. Start somewhere? We mastered space travel before your world even had oceans? The Korthok Empire spans 1,000 worlds. Even the youngest species here commands fleets that would darken your skies. A small creature with too many eyes spoke up. Its voice was high and squeaky. Show them the numbers. A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the ships of different species. The Zephyrians had 50,000 vessels. The Korthok Empire had even more. The smallest nation represented here had at least 10,000 ships. Then came Earth's fleet, 200 ships. Most of them were barely working. The laughter got louder. Kyle felt his face get hot with shame and anger. 200 ships, the mantis creature said. We lose more than that in training exercises. The Korthok general leaned forward. Your species is violent and primitive. You still fight wars on your own world. You poison your own air and water. You are exactly the kind of species we keep away from civilized space. Kyle tried one more time. We have stopped fighting major wars. We are cleaning our world. We are trying to be better. Trying. The crystal being's voice rose. Trying is not enough. We have seen species like yours before. They burn bright for a moment, then destroy themselves. Usually they take others. With them, the mantis creature nodded. The galaxy is safer without your kind, a vote was called. Species after species voted the same way. No, no, no. Earth would not be allowed to join the galactic community. It would stay locked in their own small corner of space. You are quarantined, the Zephyrian announced. No human ship may leave your solar system. No human may set foot on another world. You try to expand beyond your borders, we will stop you. The room was quiet now. No more laughter. Just cold, hard judgment. Kyle looked around the chamber one last time. He saw disgust in alien eyes. He saw fear, too, though he did not understand it then. Most of all, he saw dismissal. To them, humanity was nothing, less than nothing. Meeting is over, the crystal being said. Return to your primitive world, human. Count yourself lucky. We allow you to live. Light years away, Commander Lisa Rodriguez watched the meeting from Earth's command station. She sat in orbit around the planet, looking down at the blue and white world that had given birth to her species. The transmission is ending, said Lieutenant Jake Phillips. He was young, barely out of the academy. His face was red with anger. They rejected us. Lisa nodded. She had expected this, but it still hurt. They think we are weak. Are we? Jake asked. Lisa looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there were thousands of alien ships, weapons that could destroy worlds. Technology humanity could barely imagine. Maybe, she said. But we are still here. Jake did not understand what she meant. None of them did, not yet. But they would learn. Dr. Amanda Foster was in her lab when the news came. She had spent years studying the alien species humanity had contacted. She knew their histories, their cultures, their ways of thinking. She was not surprised by the rejection. She was surprised by what she had learned about their enemies. Most of the species in the galaxy had evolved on easy worlds. They had few natural predators. Their societies were built on cooperation and peace. War was rare and usually formal, with rules and limits. Humanity was different. Earth was a death world by galactic standards. Everything on it was trying to kill everything else. Humans had evolved as hunters and survivors. They knew war in ways the galaxy had forgotten. Amanda looked at her files. Every major species had one weakness in common. They had never faced anything like humanity before. I think they know us, she said to her empty lab. I think we are just another primitive species that will burn out and die. She pulled up images of human history. Wars that spanned continents. Weapons that could end civilizations. Species that had clawed its way up from caves to the stars in just a few thousand years. They have no idea what they just did, she whispered. The rejection would have broken some species. It would have sent them back to their homeworlds to accept their fate. But humanity was not like other species. The galaxy had just made a terrible mistake. They had insulted a species of survivors. They had challenged a race of warriors. Had told humanity it was not good enough. Humanity would remember this day. It would remember the laughter, the mockery, the dismissal. And they would make sure the galaxy remembered it too. The stars looked different now. Before they had seemed like friends waiting to be met. Now they looked like enemies that needed to be conquered. Humanity had been given a choice, except their place as a minor, primitive species locked away in one small system, or prove the galaxy wrong. There was really no choice at all. 5 years had passed since the day the galaxy laughed at Earth. 5 years since humanity was told to stay in their corner and be quiet. The aliens thought humans had given up. They thought Earth would fade away like so many other failed species. They were wrong. Admiral Ben Carter stood on the observation deck of Luna Base. Below him, the construction yards were busy day and night. Sparks flew from welding torches. Massive cranes moved pieces of metal that would become something the galaxy had never seen before. The first batch is ready, said Chief Engineer Maya Patel. She was tired. They were all tired. They had been working without rest for years and pushing human engineering beyond anything they had done before. Ben looked at the ships taking shape in the yards. They were not like the old human vessels. Those had been built to look impressive, to show off human achievement. These new ships were built for one purpose only. War. Do not look like much, Maya said. The ships were small and dark. There. Hulls were covered in strange metal that seemed to eat light instead of reflecting it. That is the point, Ben replied. The galaxy builds ships to be seen. We are building ships to be invisible. Project Shadow Strike had taken every resource Earth could spare. Every scientist, every engineer, every factory had been turned to one goal. Building a fleet that could fight the entire galaxy and win. Captain Rick Hayes walked through his new ship for the first time. The Wraith was nothing like the bright, clean vessels he had trained on. Everything was dark gray or black. The corridors were narrow. The bridge was small and cramped. It looks more like a submarine than a spaceship, said his second officer, Lieutenant Carol Baker. Rick nodded. That is exactly what it is. Submarine that swims in space instead of water. The crew of the Wraith had trained in secret for 2 years. They learned to communicate without radio. They used hand signals and coded light flashes. They practiced moving through enemy territory without being detected. They were not just sailors anymore. They were hunters. Dr. Patricia Young studied the tactical reports in her laboratory. She had spent years analyzing how alien species fought their wars. What she found surprised her. They all fight the same way, she told Admiral Carter. Big ships, bright lights, formal battles. They announce their attacks. They follow rules. They try to minimize damage, and that is bad because, Ben asked Patricia. Smiled. It was not a nice smile, because we do not fight that way. We learned war on Earth, where there are no rules, where the only thing that matters is survival. Earth had been a harsh teacher. For millions of years, humans had fought against nature, against predators, against each other. They had learned to use every advantage, every trick, every weakness of their enemies. The galaxy had never faced anything like them. Captain? Danny Martinez commanded the first stealth fighter squadron. His 12 ships could slip past any detection. The system the aliens had. They were small, fast, and deadly. The key is patience, he told his pilots. We do not attack when we want to. We attack when the enemy is weakest. We strike from shadows and disappear before they know we are there. His pilots nodded. They understood. They were not knights charging into battle. They were assassins. In the dark. The first test came when a Korthok survey ship wandered into the outer solar system. It was a small vessel with a crew of 20. They were mapping asteroid fields and taking mineral samples. They never saw the Wraith coming, Captain Hayes, and his crew had been tracking the alien ship for 3 days. They moved slowly, carefully, staying in the shadow of asteroids. Their stealth systems made them invisible to enemy sensors. Target acquired, whispered Lieutenant Baker. Range 5,000 meters. Rick studied the alien ship through his scope. It was typical Korthok design. Big, bright, and completely unaware of the danger lurking nearby. Disable their engines, Rick ordered. No killing unless they resist. The Wraith fired once. A beam of energy struck the Korthok ship's engine section. Lights went out. The ship began to drift. Boarding party, prepare for insertion, Rick commanded. Lieutenant Colonel Steve Brooks led the boarding team. His soldiers wore black armor that made them look like living shadows. They moved through the disabled alien ship like ghosts. The Korthok crew never had a chance to fight back. One moment they were working at their stations, the next they were. On the floor with human weapons pointed at them, secure the bridge, Steve ordered. Download everything. Communications, navigation, tactical data. I want to know what these lizards know about our galaxy. The operation took 30 minutes. The humans gathered all the information they needed, disabled the alien weapons, and left. They did not hurt the crew, did not destroy the ship. They just took what they wanted and vanished. When the Korthok ship limped home 3 days later, its crew could barely explain what had happened. They had been attacked by invisible ships and boarded by soldiers who moved like demons. The Galactic Council did not believe them at first. Humans were primitive. Their ships were weak. How could they possibly have stealth technology? But the evidence was clear. Something had attacked a Korthok vessel and left it helpless. Something the aliens could not detect or fight. Commander Ellen Price delivered humanity's message to the galaxy. She appeared on every communication channel at the same time, her image broadcast to every world in known space. The Sol system is now under human protection, she said calmly. Any ship that enters our space without permission will be treated as an enemy. We have tried to be your friends. You chose to make us your enemies instead. The galaxy laughed again, but the laughter was different now. There was nervousness in it. Fear. The Zephyrians decided to teach humanity a lesson. They sent 50 warships to the edge of the solar system. Fleet Commander ZI-7 led them personally. He was confident in his superior numbers and technology. These humans need to learn their place, he told his officers. We will destroy a few of their primitive vessels and remind them who rules space. The Zephyrian fleet approached Neptune. With weapons charged and shields raised, expected to find human ships waiting for them in formation, ready for honorable battle. Instead, they found empty space. Where are they? Demanded Zix. Scan every asteroid, every moon. They must be hiding somewhere. The scanners found nothing. Space appeared completely empty. Then the humans attacked. They came from everywhere and nowhere. Ships materialized from the darkness like hungry wolves. The Zephyrian fleet found itself surrounded by enemies they could not see until it was too late. The battle lasted 8 minutes. When it was over, 37 Zephyrian ships were destroyed or disabled. The remaining 13 fled in panic, their crews babbling about invisible demons that struck without warning. Zix-7 was found floating in an escape pod, the ship a burning wreck around him. His last communication was a single word, repeated over and over. Ghosts. The galaxy was no longer laughing. They had awakened something in the darkness between the stars, something that had learned to hunt in the shadows and strike without mercy. Humanity had spent 5 years preparing for this moment. 5 years building weapons the galaxy had never imagined. 5 years training soldiers who fought like no other species in known space. The quarantine was over. Earth's children were coming for the stars, and they were bringing war with them. The news of the Zephyrian defeat spread across the galaxy like wildfire. On every world, in every space station, beings talked about the impossible battle near Neptune. 50 advanced warships had been destroyed by an enemy they could not even see. Ambassador Kyle Morrison stood before the Galactic Council once again. But this time nobody was laughing. The Great Chamber was silent, except for the nervous clicking and whistling of worried aliens. "You accuse us of attacking your ships," Kyle said. His voice was calm, but there was steel in it now. "But those ships were in our space. They came to our system with weapons ready to fire." General Thax slammed his massive fist on his speaking platform. The Korthok warrior was 12 feet tall and covered in battle scars. His yellow eyes burned with rage. "Your primitive species dares to threaten the Korthok Empire. We have destroyed entire civilizations. We have turned worlds to glass. You're nothing but insects." Kyle smiled, and every alien in the room felt cold fear run down their spine. Insects. "General, your survey ship was disabled by insects. Your crew was captured by insects. Perhaps you should be more careful what you call us." The Zephyrian delegate's crystal body flickered with nervous energy. "The attack on our fleet was an act of war. We demand compensation for our losses." "You demand it?" Kyle laughed, and the sound echoed through the chamber. "You sent 50 warships to attack us. We defended ourselves. If you want compensation, perhaps you should ask yourselves why 13 of your ships came home telling stories about ghosts." Lieutenant Colonel Steve Brooks watched the meeting from the human embassy. His soldiers had been on high alert since the Zephyrian attack. Every major power in the galaxy was making angry noises about teaching humanity a lesson. "Let them come," said Sergeant Pete Wilson. He was cleaning his rifle, a weapon that used solid projectiles instead of energy beams. Most aliens thought such weapons were primitive. They were wrong. "They will come," Steve replied. "The question is when and how many." Commander Ellen Price studied the intelligence reports on her desk. Human spies had been gathering information about alien military capabilities for months. What they found was both encouraging and terrifying. The galaxy was vast. Trillions of beings lived on millions of worlds. Even the smallest alien nation had more ships than Earth could build in 100 years. But they all shared the same weaknesses. "They fight like it is still the Age of Honor," Ellen told her staff. "Formal battles, agreed-upon rules, warnings. Before attacks, they have forgotten what real war looks like." Captain Danny Martinez received new orders as his fighter squadron returned from patrol. The message was short and simple. Find the enemy homeworlds. Learn their defenses. Prepare for deep strikes. His 12 stealth fighters could travel farther and faster than any alien ship could detect. They had slipped past dozens of patrol fleets, mapped enemy bases, and returned with information that would change everything. "Korthok Homeworld has orbital defense platforms," Danny reported. "Thousands of them. But they are all designed to stop big fleets attacking from space. They have no defense against small, fast ships coming from unusual angles." Admiral Ben Carter nodded as he studied the tactical data. "What about ground defenses?" "Almost nothing," Danny replied. "They have never been invaded." Their military is built for conquering other worlds, not defending their own. This was the difference between humanity and the galaxy. Every human world was defended as if enemies might come at any moment. Every human child learned to fight, to hide, to survive. The aliens had grown soft in their long peace. Captain Rick Hayes commanded a new mission. The Wraith and 5 other stealth ships would penetrate deep into Korthok space. Their target was not military bases or fleets. It was something much more valuable. Fear. The first strike came without warning. A Korthok mining station in a distant system simply vanished. One day it was there, processing asteroids and shipping rare metals. The next day, rescue ships found only empty space and scattered debris. There were no survivors, no distress signals, no evidence of what had happened. The second strike hit a research facility near the Korthok border. The scientists there were working on new weapons technology, were found floating in space, their station destroyed, and their research stolen. Again, no witnesses, no warning, just death from the darkness. The third strike was different. Rick Hayes and his crew boarded a Korthok passenger liner. They did not hurt anyone. They simply gathered the 300 passengers in the main hall and delivered a message. "Tell your leaders," Rick said through the translator, "that nowhere is safe. We can reach any ship, any station, any world. We come from the dark between stars, and we are not bound by your rules." Then the humans vanished, leaving the terrified passengers to spread the word. The psychological effect was devastating. Korthok civilians stopped traveling between worlds. Trade routes emptied as merchant. Ships refused to leave port. The mighty empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds was paralyzed by fear of invisible enemies. But the Korthok military was not ready to give up. General Thax assembled the largest war fleet in his empire's history. 2,000 ships, carrying the finest weapons and most experienced warriors. "We will hunt down these human ghosts," he declared. "We will follow them back to their pathetic world and burn it to ash." The fleet moved toward human space in a formation that stretched across millions of miles. It was the most powerful military force the galaxy had seen in centuries. They never reached Earth. Admiral Nicole Turner had been waiting for them. Her fleet of 300 stealth ships was spread across 50 light-years of space. They did not meet the Korthok fleet in one great battle. Instead, they picked it apart piece by piece. A Korthok battleship would suddenly find itself alone, separated from its escorts by what seemed like navigation errors. Then human ships would appear from nowhere, destroy it, and vanish before help could arrive. Supply ships disappeared. Communication vessels went silent. Command ships found their escort fleets scattered across empty space, with no idea where their enemies had gone. General Thax watched his mighty armada dissolve around him. Ship after ship vanished from his screens. His communications network fell apart as relay stations were destroyed. His supply lines were cut by invisible predators. After 3 weeks of running battles, only 400 of his ships remained. They limped back to Korthok space, their crews broken and demoralized. "They are not fighting a war," Thax reported to his emperor. "They are hunting us, like we are prey animals." The emperor, an ancient Korthok, who had ruled for 2 centuries, stared at the tactical displays. His greatest general had been defeated by creatures from a single world. An empire that spanned star systems had been humbled by a species they had dismissed as primitive. "What do they want?" he asked. "Respect," Thax replied. "And they are taking it from us one ship at a time." Similar reports came from across the galaxy. Human strike teams had hit targets in dozens of star systems. Military bases, research stations, government facilities. Always the same pattern, swift, silent, devastating. The aliens were learning a new kind of fear. For the first time in their long history, they were not the hunters. They were the hunted. Ambassador Morrison received a priority message from Earth. It was time for the next phase of humanity's plan. He walked into the Galactic Council chamber one more time. The assembled delegates looked at him with a mixture of fear and hatred. Some had tried to have him killed. Others had offered bribes to make the attacks stop. None of it had worked. "The quarantine is over," Morrison announced. "Humanity claims its right to travel the stars. Any attempt to stop us will be met with force." The Zephyrian delegate's crystal form flickered rapidly. "Cannot fight the entire galaxy. We have millions of ships." Morrison smiled that cold smile that had become famous across known space. "You had millions of ships. How many do you have left?" The question hung in the air like a death sentence. Every species in the chamber had lost vessels to human attacks. Some had lost dozens, others had lost hundreds, and the humans were just getting started. The galaxy was in chaos. Trade had stopped. Ships refused to leave their home ports. Civilian transports traveled only with massive military escorts, and even then, many never reached their destinations. The humans had become legends of terror. Whispered in 1,000 languages across the stars, Admiral Nicole Turner stood on the bridge of her flagship, the Nightfall. Around her, holographic displays showed the current state of galactic shipping. Red zones marked areas where human raids had occurred. There were more red zones than clear space now. "Intelligence reports that the Zephyrians are pulling back to their core worlds," said Captain Linda Carter. She commanded the massive dreadnought Sovereign, humanity's newest and most powerful warship. "They have abandoned 17 outer systems." Nicole nodded. This was exactly what they had planned. Fear was a weapon more powerful than any gun or missile. It made enemies defeat themselves. "What about the Mantic Federation?" Nicole asked. "Same story," Linda replied. "They closed their borders 3 days ago. No ships in or out. They're afraid we might be hiding among their own fleets." The Mantic were right to be afraid. Human infiltration teams had been operating inside alien space for months. They wore stolen uniforms, used captured ships, and spoke alien languages perfectly. Some had even been promoted to command positions in enemy fleets. Captain Kevin Ross commanded one such team. He and his crew had spent 6 months posing as Mantic traders. Their ship looked exactly like a civilian freighter, but hidden in its cargo holds were enough weapons to destroy a space station. "Target acquired," reported Lieutenant Nancy Clark. She was the team's demolitions expert, trained to turn everyday materials into devastating bombs. 3 Mantic cruisers docked at Station Gamma 7. Kevin studied the tactical display. The station was a major supply depot, feeding dozens of military outposts. Destroying it would cripple Mantic operations in this entire sector. "Remember the plan," Kevin told his team, in and out quietly. "We want them to think their own people did this." The team moved through the station like ghosts. Nancy planted her charges in key locations while the others created false evidence pointing to Mantic rebels. When the explosions came, they would tear the station apart from the inside. But the real damage would be psychological. The Mantic would spend months hunting for traitors in their own ranks, never suspecting the truth. Dr. Rachel Green worked in Earth's Intelligence Center, analyzing captured alien communications. What she found told a story of growing panic across the galaxy. "They do not trust each other anymore," she reported to Admiral Turner. "The Korthok suspect the Zephyrians of working with us. The Mantic think their own people are rebels. Half. The galaxy believes we have secret allies." This was another advantage humans had not expected. The galaxy was used to simple, straightforward conflicts. They could not understand an enemy that fought with deception and misdirection. "What about their military response?" Nicole asked. Rachel pulled up another set of reports. "Every major power is building new ships as fast as they can. Are all different designs. They cannot agree on tactics or technology. Some are building bigger weapons. Others are trying to copy our stealth systems. Most are just building more of what they already have." Meanwhile, humanity was preparing its own surprise. Hidden shipyards throughout the solar system had been working day and night. Earth's moon looked like a giant factory now, surface covered with construction facilities. Captain Danny Martinez flew patrol around the new orbital platforms. His fighter squadron had grown from 12 ships to over 200. All of them were piloted by humans who had learned to think like hunters. "The new ships are ready," he reported to Admiral Turner. 5,000 vessels, all equipped with... The latest stealth technology. The enemy will not see us coming until we are already among them. But the galaxy had one more surprise waiting for humanity. The alien powers had finally learned to work together. Centuries of rivalry and distrust were set aside. In the face of the human threat, the emergency meeting took place on the neutral world of Centris Prime. Representatives from 50 different species gathered to discuss what they called the human problem. The Zephyrian ambassador spoke first. These creatures are not like any enemy we have faced before. They do not follow the laws of civilized warfare. They strike without warning, kill without mercy, and vanish like smoke. The Korthok delegate nodded agreement. They fight like the predators from our oldest nightmares. Nothing is sacred to them. They will attack civilians, destroy infrastructure, spread fear wherever they go. A small, furry creature from the Hisk Empire raised a clawed hand. What do you propose we do? Our individual fleets have failed. Our defenses have been breached. Our people live in terror. The answer came from an unexpected source. The Voidwalkers were an ancient species, older than most civilizations in the galaxy. They rarely spoke at galactic meetings, preferring to watch and listen. We build a fleet, the Voidwalker delegate said in a voice like wind through empty space. Not 50 fleets, but one fleet. Every ship, every weapon, every warrior from every world. We pool our resources and create an armada that can overwhelm these humans through sheer numbers. The chamber fell silent. What the Voidwalker suggested had never been done before. The logistics alone would be staggering. But as the delegates looked around the room, they realized it might be their only chance. How many ships? Asked the Zephyrian. The Voidwalker consulted data screens that none of the other species could read, including reserve forces and civilian vessels that can be converted to military use. Approximately 1 million combat-capable ships. Gasps echoed through the chamber. 1 million ships was more than had ever been assembled in galactic history. It was enough to darken the space around entire star systems. Against how many human vessels? Asked the Korthok. Intelligence estimates varied, but the consensus was troubling. Perhaps 5 to 10,000 ships? Their exact numbers are unknown due to their stealth technology. The math seemed impossible. 1 million ships against 10,000 at most. Even with their advanced technology and tactics, how could the humans possibly win? But some of the older delegates remembered stories from their people's past. Legends of small forces defeating massive armies through superior strategy and will to fight. Most dismissed these as myths. They would learn otherwise. The vote was unanimous. Every species would contribute ships and crews to the Grand Alliance fleet. They would gather at the edge of human space and end the threat once and for all. On Earth, Admiral Turner received intelligence reports about the massive alien buildup. Human spies had infiltrated the planning meetings. They knew exactly what was coming. 1 million ships, she said to her assembled commanders. The largest military force in galactic history. Captain Linda Carter studied the enemy fleet composition. Most of them are cargo ships and civilian vessels with weapons bolted on. Maybe 200,000 are true warships. Still outnumbered 200 to 1, pointed out Captain Rick Hayes. Nicole smiled. It was the same cold smile that Ambassador Morrison had made famous in the Galactic Council. Good. If we are going to make a statement, we need a big audience. The final preparations began. Every human ship was equipped with the latest technology. Every crew was trained to peak efficiency. Every weapon was tested and retested. But the most important preparation was psychological. Humanity was about to face the combined might of the galaxy. They would be vastly outnumbered, outgunned, and fighting far from home. It was exactly the kind of impossible odds that humans thrived on. The galaxy was about to learn. Why Earth had produced survivors? They were about to discover what happened. When you backed a predator species into a corner and dared them to fight, the sky would soon be dark with ships. But not the ships the aliens expected. The Grand Alliance fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean. 1 million ships from 50 different species, armed with the most powerful weapons the galaxy could build. It was the largest military force in the history of known space. Admiral Zixneen commanded the massive armada from his flagship, the Crystal Dawn. The Zephyrian leader had replaced his predecessor after the humiliating defeat at Neptune. He was determined not to make the same mistakes. "Begin final approach to the Sol system," he ordered. "All ships, maintain formation. When we reach Earth, we will show these humans what happens when primitive species challenge their betters." Fleet moved slowly through space, too large to travel quickly. Ships stretched from the front to the back for millions of miles. Scouts flew ahead to watch for human ambushes. They found nothing. The outer edge of the human solar system appeared completely empty. No ships, no weapons platforms, no defenses of any kind. It was as if humanity had simply given up. "Where are they?" demanded General Thax from his position aboard the Korthok battleship Iron Fist. "Scan every asteroid, every moon. They must be hiding somewhere," but the sensors found nothing. Space around the gas giant planets was empty. The asteroid belt showed no signs of human presence. Even Earth's moon appeared to have been abandoned. "Perhaps they fled," suggested the Mantic commander. "Their leaders may have escaped to another system when they saw our fleet approaching." Admiral Zixneen was not convinced. He had fought humans before. He knew they did not run from fights, no matter how hopeless. "Continue the advance," he ordered. "But stay alert. This feels like a trap." He was right. Admiral Nicole Turner watched. The alien fleet from her command center deep inside the moon. The entire satellite had been hollowed out and converted into a massive military base. Hidden shipyards, weapon systems, and command facilities filled chambers that stretched for miles underground. "All ships report ready," said Captain Linda Carter. The human fleet was spread throughout the solar system, invisible to enemy sensors. Some ships hid in the shadows of planets. Others drifted among the asteroids, their stealth systems making them appear as space rocks. "Begin Phase 1. Nicole ordered. The first attack came from behind. Captain Danny Martinez led 300 stealth fighters in a sweep around the outer edge of the solar system. Had been traveling for weeks to get into position, using the dark between stars to hide their approach. The alien fleet's rear guard never saw them coming. Supply ships and communication vessels exploded in brilliant flashes of light. Within minutes, the Grand Alliance had lost its ability to coordinate between different sections of the massive fleet. "We are under attack," shouted Admiral Zixneen. "All ships, defensive formation, find those human fighters." But the humans were already gone, vanished back into the darkness like ghosts. The second wave struck from the asteroid belt. Captain Kevin Ross commanded a squadron of ships disguised as space rocks. When the alien fleet passed nearby, the fake asteroid suddenly came alive with weapons fire. Dozens of alien ships died before they realized what was happening. The humans targeted command vessels and supply ships, cutting the enemy fleet into isolated groups that could not help each other. "Return fire," ordered General Thax. "Destroy those asteroids." The Korthok fleet poured energy beams into the asteroid belt, turning rocks to dust. But the human ships had already moved, slipping away to new hiding places. Phase 3 began as the alien fleet reached the inner solar system. The humans had turned Mars into a fortress, its surface covered with hidden missile launchers. When the enemy ships came within range, the red planet erupted with fire. Thousands of missiles streaked toward the alien fleet. Most were intercepted by defensive systems, but enough got through to cause serious damage. Force the enemy ships to bunch together for protection. That was exactly what Admiral Turner had been waiting for. "All ships execute final phase," she commanded. The true human fleet revealed itself. 5,000 vessels materialized from empty space as their stealth systems shut down. They had been hiding among the planets, behind moons, and in the shadow of Earth itself. But these were not the same ships the galaxy had faced before. These were larger, more powerful, armed with weapons that no alien species had ever seen. They struck the alien fleet from every direction at once. Captain Rick Hayes commanded the assault on the enemy center. His battle group of 50 ships punched through the alien formation like a spear through cloth. Their weapons tore apart ships that had seemed invincible just moments before. "Target their command vessels," Rick ordered. "Cut off the head and the body dies." Admiral Zix-9 watched in horror as his carefully planned attack fell apart. His million-ship fleet was being carved up by an enemy one-tenth its size. His communications were jammed. His formation was broken. His advantage in numbers meant nothing. When his ships could not work together? "How is this possible?" he demanded. "We outnumber them 100 to 1. His tactical officer, a young Zephyrian named Kix-3, provided the answer. "Sir, they are not fighting us ship to ship. They are fighting us as a pack against a herd. They coordinate perfectly while we stumble over each other." This was the fundamental difference between humanity and the galaxy. The aliens had built their fleets for individual glory and formal battles. Each ship was a separate command, each captain concerned with his own survival and reputation. The humans fought as one organism. Every ship knew where every other ship was. Every captain trusted his comrades completely. They moved like a school of fish or a flock of birds, responding to threats with perfect unity. The battle raged for 6 hours, but the outcome was never in doubt. The alien fleet, despite its massive size, could not adapt to human tactics. Ship after ship fell to invisible enemies that struck without warning and vanished. Before retaliation was possible, General Thax found himself alone, his escorts destroyed or scattered. Human ships surrounded the Iron Fist like wolves around a wounded buffalo. "Surrender," came the message in perfect Korthok. "Your war is over." Thax looked around his damaged bridge. Half his crew was dead. His weapons were destroyed. His engines were failing. He had spent his life conquering worlds for the Korthok Empire. He had never imagined he would be the one. "To surrender, I yield," he said quietly. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out. The greatest military force in galactic history was surrendering to creatures from a single world. When the shooting stopped, less than half the alien fleet remained. The rest drifted as wreckage or had fled in panic. Admiral Zix-9 was found floating in an escape pod. His flagship, a burning Hulk ambassador, Kyle Morrison, appeared on every screen in the galaxy simultaneously. Behind him, the wreckage of the Grand Alliance fleet glittered in the light of Earth's sun. "The galaxy came to our home with 1,000,000 ships," he said calmly. "Came to teach us our place, came to show us who rules the stars." He gestured to the battlefield around Earth. Human ships moved among the wreckage like sharks among wounded prey. "You have learned your lesson, but it was not the lesson you expected. You learned that numbers mean nothing without skill. That technology means nothing without tactics. That pride means nothing without the will to win." The transmission reached every world, every station, every ship in known space. Beings who had ruled the galaxy for centuries watched as their greatest military force was humbled by creatures they had dismissed as primitive. "Humanity claims its place among the stars," Morrison continued. "Not as supplicants begging for permission. Not as junior partners in your galactic community. But as the apex predators we have always been." He paused, letting his words sink in. "The sky is dark with Terran ships. It will remain dark for as long as humanity draws breath among the stars. Anyone who wishes to challenge us is welcome to." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, a new age had begun. The age of human dominance. Earth's children had taken their place among the stars, and the galaxy would never be the same.